Hey guys, welcome to my channel. No, this is not clickbait. I really didn't have a period for 5 years and I would love to explain why and my journey health-wise with my uterus, really. I'm gonna try to do this really well and I'm gonna do it in 4 parts and just kind of give you my history and why I didn't have a period for 5 years. So you just have to stay tuned. I will say, just disclaimer, I believe in Jesus. I believe in the healing power of Jesus. I believe in medicine. I believe in holistic doctors. All of the good things that I feel like is provided for us and that we get the opportunity to use as healing. So no shame there. You won't ever hear me. Wow, can I talk? You won't ever hear me shaming doctors, people getting healed, or holistic medicine. I love it all, and I think there's beauty in all of it. So here we go. I have notes right here because it's a lot of stuff, you guys. And oh, just another thing. I felt like I was supposed to do this a year ago and just kind of chickened out for a bit for many reasons. When you go through stuff that feels chronic or no one's been able to diagnose you, it's kind of painful to tell people, and or even just it's kind of painful to share your story because a couple of things happen. It's oh, I've been through that, and I'm have you? If you have, you'd have more compassion, or being in environments where you see people get healed all the time and it's what is happening, or just going to doctors that are I've never seen anything like this before. So I understand and can empathize with people that are going through chronic pain or just haven't figured out what's wrong yet, and just know figure out who your circle is and say no. Say no to random advice that doesn't feel good and helpful. So here we go. I got my period when I was 11 years old. Funny enough, I was a gymnast forever, growing up, and I quit for 3 months, which I call my midlife crisis at 11 years old, because I was I'm in the gym all the time. I think I want to cheer. So I quit in January, February one year, and then tried out for cheerleading, and there's 3 months that I wasn't as active as I would be as a gymnast, and I got my period within those 3 months because I guess my body just had time to slow down. Not to mention, gymnasts are sometimes known to get their periods later or develop later or not as much. So it was funny because I quit and then my period came. Dang, I should have not done that. Little side note, because I forgot to say this, I did not make the cheer team because I was not peppy enough. And in those 3 months was the only time that I was a little bit less active, and then I immediately went back to gymnastics full swing. So that could be a little bit of the reason why my period maybe wasn't as heavy. I don't know. I think my body was doing what it needed to in the time, but just a little snippet of something I didn't remember to say. But I was very much I don't know, I had that American Girl doll book. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? And it tells you about puberty and developing, and I was pumped to get my period. If I could go back, I'd be it's okay, don't be pumped, or you know what I'm saying. So I was okay, and I started my period in the shower. Great place, and thankful for that. And I was just okay, this is weird. And I don't think my life changed very much other than learning how to be a girl and developing as a girl. And even throughout high school, I noticed that my back would kill me and I'd have sluggish moments, but it didn't stop me from going to school or just doing what I wanted to do, go to Six Flags on my period, stuff like that. So I felt I had a normal period, and then something just switched when I graduated high school. Literally, I think I turned 18. I did turn 18 the July of 2012, and yeah, gosh. Anyways, moving along. I turned 18 and something shifted in my periods. I started to feel sick to my stomach. My period hadn't come yet, and I'd start cramping and my back would kill me. But my cramps started to get to the point where I couldn't get out of the bed, or I'd have to crawl. I'd be crying on the floor, and then I found that the only thing that soothed me was being in the shower on the ground with the water on me. And I remember this one time I was taking my sisters to school because I stayed home. I've been home my whole life. No shame in my game. And I was like, Lord, I can't, I'm not going to be able to take my sisters to school. Aaron and Essence weren't driving yet, so it was all on me. And I was like, I need help. I need you to help me. And I remember being in the shower, feeling like I had been in pain for over an hour. And this is one of those moments where I'm like, you did something. I don't know if everyone believes in that kind of stuff, but I was like, there's no way I was only in the shower for 10 minutes. And then I finally was able to get up, barely, and I got dressed and I ran downstairs and was like, I'm so sorry. And it was only 7:45 or something, and Aaron and Essence were kind of looking at me like I was crazy. And I was like, oh my gosh, I felt like I was in pain for hours. This doesn't make any sense. And this consistently kept happening. And then the December of 2012, my mom was like, you're going to the gynecologist. I'm like, why? Why do I need to do that? I do not want to do that. She's like, you just need to get your yearly checkup. I'm like, why? And little known fact about me that I don't flaunt at all is I'm still a virgin. So there was nothing in me. I knew my friends in high school or people in high school were on birth control for birth control, but I was like, oh, I don't need that because I plan on saving myself till marriage. So even still, even now, I'm still a virgin, and I think sometimes my brain is like, oh, birth control is for that purpose only. Moving along. So my mom was like, well, I know your periods have been bad. Maybe she can give you something to help. And that sold me because my pain was so bad. I was like, I will knock her door down myself. Still cannot talk. So I was like, I'm having these problems. She was like, okay, we'll try you on this birth control. You may have super light periods, or they only last a couple of days. Side note, if you hear Jumper snoring, he's snoring. That's what that noise is. Or you may not get them off, whatever. I was like, I don't care. Just give me the pills. So I took the pills, and the birth control was called Loloestrin Fe. And it immediately took my periods away. I didn't have them at all. Yeah, so I had no periods at all. And this went on for 5 years. I think literally one time I had this moment where I was like, I want to feel like a woman again. And then I stopped taking my pills, and then my period started to come, or just those period symptoms, and I was like, no, I changed my mind. So I immediately started taking my pill again. And that was the only time. I think maybe I had went out of town and didn't bring my pills, and then maybe bled for 3 seconds, but that was it. I never had a full period in 5 years. I feel like maybe in another video I can go more in detail of those 5 years, but I noticed I was really, really sad, and I kind of blamed all my sadness on just a rough patch with a relationship that I was in. And at one point I was on antidepressants and birth control pills, and I was in ministry school. So it was this weird, I don't know how I feel about all of this. And I will say I'm so thankful for my church and the school that I went to, because there's no shame in oh, you have back issues, you probably need to be taking whatever your doctor prescribes you. There was no shame and me being on birth control or having to be on antidepressants. I do now think though, like, I'm a very emotional person, and if I'm a 4 on the Enneagram, I'm a feeler, and I think those are gifts of mine. And in those times, I think everything was just so elevated that I needed antidepressants, and even that journey was like tough, but it was like what I needed in that season, and I wouldn't take it back. I needed it. Anyway, so it was the December before I came off birth control. Or around that time, I was walking my dog Jumper, who's snoring very loud, outside, and I started having this intense, what felt like period pain, but I was like, this is different. I don't know what this is. To the point, I took him outside on the leash and I had to crawl back into the house. And I immediately went to the shower, because that's what I do when I'm in pain. And I called my mom and I was like, something's wrong. She's a teacher. I was like, I need you to come get me, or I'm going to have to call 911. Like, I don't know what's wrong. My grandma ended up coming. They took me to one hospital and I was like, nah, we're not doing this. And we went to another. Turns out I had a cyst rupture. I do not wish that upon any, like, so bad. But by the time I got into the hospital, it had already ruptured. I was just feeling like the after effects of just being tired and being like, what the heck happened to me? So they did some scans. I don't remember what scan they did, but they saw the like aftermath of the cyst rupture, and then they saw 2 fibroids. And they're like, those usually don't do anything ever, and you'll understand this more. Remember I said this. They said that doesn't do anything. And even my gynecologist was like, oh, those will be fine. Like, and she couldn't understand, apparently cysts are usually taken care of with birth control. So it didn't make sense to her that I had a cyst rupture. So I'm just like going about my life the easiest I can. Had some really hard stuff go on the beginning of 2017, just personally, and I was still just like, oh, did you hear that, Steel? I'm country, y'all. I can't escape it. Still having like a lot of emotional stuff going on, but not wanting to be on antidepressants because I could have tried something else, to be honest. The specific medicine that I was on, I had no feelings. And if you know me, you know that's not me at all. So I would literally be like, okay, God, like, what are you saying? And felt like I couldn't feel him at all. And in that season, I was like, okay, the way I lead worship, the way I do life will just look different. So I relied more on the word and like prophesying the word than I would have feeling out what I felt like was happening spiritually. Even just in normal life, like people would say stuff to me and I'm like, okay, and that's not me. So just like still going through like panic attacks, feeling super depressed, and I think it was like June 16th, I was peeing. Sorry. I mean, I'm talking about my period. This is life. This is normal life. Don't freak out on me. I'm peeing and I'm like, I had a panic attack that morning and I literally asked the Lord, I was like, when did I become so sad? And the Lord was like, check your birth control. That's what I felt like he was saying. And I was like, my birth control. I started to get really sad 5 years ago, or just like experiencing this type of sadness. And so I finished peeing. I act like I was peeing for hours. I was not. I was kind of just like sitting there like, what? I get on my phone, I look up low estrogen Faye, and it had like 7 of the top side effects that women have. And anxiety and depression was one of the top ones. And I was like, okay. So I like went downstairs, told my mom. She's like, aren't you so thankful? Like, now you know what's going on. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm also pissed because it's like 5 years of my life. But immediately I was like, I finished out my pack, and I stopped taking it. So yeah, that's part 1. That was a terrible, abrupt end, but that's just like the pre-story of how I came off birth control. So, yeah, if you're interested in like hearing more of my story, or just like care about me and want to know the details that I don't really just like vomit all the time. I know there's so many people that are like, why have you had 4 surgeries on your uterus? And this will be more helpful for you to like hear and know what I've been through or what's been going on. So yeah, I plan on posting these every Thursday until I'm done, and then just like other things that I've learned, just like period health, what my convictions are, and they're always changing. Like I said, with chronic stuff and like things that you haven't been able to figure out, I feel like there's not just one way. There's a lot of like, okay, Lord, like what's next? Or if you're not a Christian, it looks like just like seeing where to go next. And like, I want to talk about like red flags with doctors, or just things that we need to be mindful of when we're navigating our health. So, subscribe to my channel. I mostly like to do covers and like sing, but that's just stick around. You'll see. Love you guys. Have a good day. Stay safe. Wow, first take and I freaking did it. Hold on, my boyfriend's calling me. Okay, sorry, Nate.